All right, guys. So our penultimate and ultimate topics are here. We are going to do the spoiler-filled discussion here. We're going to give a review, break down, analyze the Snyder Cut of Justice League, as well as the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1. So we're going to start things off with, our thoughts on the Snyder Cut. Since that did come out first, we're going to talk about that one first. And right off the bat, John, I'm telling you what, the main thing about the Snyder Cut that I told you about this after I watched it. The biggest still confusing thing to me about the whole thing was once we saw the movie. So we watched Snyder Cut, and you see the finished product. The biggest question in my mind was, what the hell was Warner Brothers thinking with like, for one, not just releasing this version of it, like, but for two, they brought in Joss Whedon, paid buku money to do all these reshoots. Joss rewrote a bunch of stuff, all that, the drama involved with the whole thing, Mustache Gate, all of it. And it was pointless. The movies were the same in their like structure for the most part. Like they're obviously Snyder Cut had 2 hours of like character development and all the dark side stuff, just better stuff that made the story flow better. But the overall Steppenwolf comes, he did the mother box. It's the same movie. You know what I mean? Like Snyder Cut is better, 100%
Mhm.
better. It was just when you look at like what did they spend the money on bringing in a new director to do? He didn't change the movie. He just made it worse. He made it shorter and made it worse. And I'm not like throwing Joss Whedon under the bus here with it. I'm throwing Warner Brothers under the bus with it more than anything because they gave Joss Whedon an impossible task. They said, "Come in, do whatever it is you need to do. Um, you want to reshoot stuff? Great. Do whatever. Change this. Do that." We'll never know the whole story of what they explicitly wanted, but we do know they wanted a 2-hour version of it, and that they're going to change the release date. So they said, "Josh, you got to come in. You got to fix this. You got to finish it, and you're not going to get any more time to do it. So have fun." Like he had an impossible task. There was no way he could have. Like if he had the time to shoot his own movie, I can guarantee it would have been better than what he put out, for
Sure.
Justice League. But I know like they would never have put out a 4-hour movie in theaters and everything, but like I still just don't the movies were the same. So it was like just so pointless. But that's the biggest question mark I had after sitting there watching it. I was like, why did they do this? Like for one, the movie was good. Like I don't see why, like, and I'm sure there's somewhere in there. This could have been like a 3 to 3.5 hour movie. I'm sure there's some stuff you could have cut out or like shortened down a little bit to actually get it to a more reasonable theater runtime, if you will. Either way, I love the movie though overall. I thought it was great. I thought it was worth the wait. I'm very disappointed that we will more than likely not get the follow-ups for it, and that the Ben Affleck Batman solo movie was set up nicely at the end, far better than like that whole Deathstroke scene was way better in this version. The Nightmare Batman stuff they set up at the end was also really good. I liked that. And it just the way the movie set up the whole Justice League 2 Darkseid invasion, I'm kinda sad we're never gonna get that, and I knew that was gonna happen. I knew it. Like, as soon as this was announced to happen and Darkseid was involved and, the reports from way back when this was supposedly gonna be, like, a two-part thing, like, there we go. Like, we know it was set up for a sequel. It was explicitly set up for. I mean, Darkseid at the end, he said he's coming. He was gonna do the old ways. He was gonna do an invasion. But I loved it though. So, John, before we get into anything else, like, let me hear your overall thought. Do you have anything that kind of stood out to you? Because, like I said, for me, I was just mainly confused as to what the hell Warner Brothers was thinking. But that's nothing new, really, anymore with Warner Brothers. So, what were your thoughts?
Yeah. My biggest thought was, wow, this is amazing. Like I love this movie. And I went into it thinking I probably wasn't going to. I've had a lot of time to reflect on why. You know, today's it's Saturday evening when we're recording this right now, and I watched it Thursday evening. I wasn't able to stay up. It didn't release here until 3 a.m. And so I wasn't able to stay up and watch it immediately upon release. So I had to wait till to the following evening to actually watch it. But I sat down and watched it. I watched it straight through. I think I paused it at the chapter 5 title screen only to go get more drink and then came right back and watched it. So I mean, I sat through all 4 hours straight through. It didn't feel like 4 hours. I was shocked at how much I love this movie. I was expecting to feel like it was okay. Hopefully, my wildest hopes were that it would be okay, that it would be maybe somewhat good. And I absolutely love this movie, and so I've had a lot of time to reflect on why that is. Um, and I, going into Batman versus Superman, I loved a lot of stuff that Zack Snyder had done. I thought Watchmen was a great movie. It gets a lot of crap, but I mean, he's taken a 12 issues. It wasn't like Warner Brothers said, "Hey, you can have 3 films to do Watchmen in." They said you can have one, and he found a way to do it. With the exception of changing the ending, which I thought still could have been done the other way, but I understand why he did it that way. I loved the first was it Dawn of the Dead he did?
Yeah, it
The
was good.
zombie movie. Yeah, it was a good movie. And of course, Man of Steel is one of my favorite DC movies. It's one of my favorite comic book movies, period. But I keep prefacing it. It's just one of my favorite movies, period. I love Man of Steel. Um, and it was really the disappointment and the frustration and at times anger that I felt towards the way that Batman versus Superman played out that caused me to be really trepidatious, is that right? Um,
I think
to
that's
be
right.
very fearful of what Justice League was going to end up being. What the character of Batman would be like in it, and Zach found a way to redeem Batman in a sense. He found a way to there's we'll get into it, but there was a small thing from Man of Steel that he kind of reconciled. One of my few issues with Man of Steel, he kind of ends up reconciling this movie. So just overall, I absolutely loved it. I think that Warner Brothers, oh my God, I just I want Disney so much to buy DC from Warner Brothers. But
Right.
Warner Brothers, go back to make your own films, hire talented visionary directors and writers to do their own stuff, but give up on the IP because on the DC stuff, on other people's stuff because you don't know what you're doing. You're literally ruining it. You took what was an amazing film by Zack Snyder and turned it into what a lot of I actually didn't mind Justice League. There were parts of it I really liked, but for a lot of people it was just a joke of a film, and it's understandable why they considered it a joke. And so just give up DC. You're done, or give up Warner Brothers. You're done. Like it's time. Call it.
Yeah, I could totally see the argument there. I will say I like Shazam a whole lot. Like they did a good job with
True.
Shazam. They've done a good job with Wonder Woman. Like I didn't like Wonder Woman 84, but I still like the first one a lot, and I like the character that they have. Because I would Gal Gadot would not have
I
been my
guess
first choice, and like she's been doing good in that role.
Yeah, I guess it's just the kind of haphazard nature of Warner Brothers. It's
Oh yeah.
frustrating to me. Like it's like a roll of the dice when you go see one of their films, whether or not it's going to be good or not. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like being like I don't like I know exactly what you mean, like, because I it happened with Suicide Squad, like, for the first time,
Yeah,
I was like you're like, I'm going in there, and I'm just like, I don't know if like, I walked out of Suicide Squad, and I was just like, I don't even know what I thought about that movie. Like, I was like, I don't know if it wasn't like a terrible movie, but I was just walked out of it so confused. I was just like, "Do I like
yeah,
that?" Like, did I and
yeah.
I honestly
There
even
were
felt that
parts
way
like
about BVS.
there are parts you like of it, but then there are other parts that just aren't good, and like the story is
Mhm.
like everything feels exactly what it is. It feels rushed. It feels cobbled together. It's
Mhm.
like I don't know.
It's it's
Yeah.
it's it's an odd feeling to have, especially because like, Man of Steel is, like it's a masterpiece, man. I love Man of Steel. Like, it's an amazing movie,
Mhm.
and, like, BVS, like, I've watched numerous times, and it's fu like, we talked about this before, like, I don't need to go back and actually watch the theatrical cut, then the ultimate cut, because it's just, like, such a blur to me of what the even differences are with it anymore, but I know I've watched the ultimate cut numerous times, and, like, it's a watchable movie, it's good.
I
I like BVS. It's not I don't like the doomsday shit at the end, but everything, up to that point is good. Like
well, it's funny you bring that up about watching the theatrical cut because I feel like I need to go back and watch the ultimate cut again because I was so bitter about that movie. I was so bitter. I went and saw it 3 times in the theater trying to make myself like it because I had such high hopes for it because I loved Man of Steel so much, and I
Mhm,
thought, "It's Batman." I mean, come on, they just came off the Dark Knight movies, like, you know Batman, Warner Brothers, like, you know what makes a good Batman film. Why can you not go from the great Man of Steel movie and, like, I'm like, "Am I missing something? Is there something?" And then the movie itself is just bad. There's it's just a poorly done movie. And so I think when I finally did get to the ultimate cut, I watched it through that lens of bitterness, and I came out of the ultimate cut saying, "Okay, well, it's a better movie because it addresses X, Y, and Z that I had problems with in the theatrical cut." Um, but I still don't like it because and I again, so now that I've had time, I think I need to go back and watch it again through this new lens of appreciation for Justice League and see if I can't they just released a new version of it on that came out alongside the Justice League cut that supposedly is it's the 4:3 aspect ratio, I think, with recoloring that Zach has done for it. So I think I'm gonna try and sit down sometime this week and watch that again. Heck, I may try and sit down and do like Man of Steel, then the Ultimate Cut, and then Justice League all together to try and get the overall story of the Zack Snyder verse so far. But I feel like I need to give that another try. It's I don't I'm gonna I don't know. I'm gonna it could very well happen that this movie changes my opinion of a movie that I've always said I hated. So we'll
well,
see.
it'd be interesting to see because, like, I've always liked BVS more than most people, because, like, Ben Affleck's my favorite Batman, so I
Mhm.
obviously liked a lot of it. I just didn't like how it ended more so than anything.
Mhm.
Like, that was, like, it was all just thrown in, like, I loved Wonder Woman at the end of it, but it'd be interesting to watch them all now, right? Watch the
Yeah.
trilogy, like, cause like, cause the thing, like with Zack Snyder's, it opens up with Superman dying, which was like one of the things too. Like, cause you said before that I think we were talking about it on stream after we just watched it. Um, like you liked the opening to Justice League, like the Justice League, like with like Superman and like
Yeah.
the thing, like and all that. But then I thought it was good too. I just didn't like the CGI mustache shit. It was just kind of thrown
Sure.
in, and it doesn't really fit with it's just kind of thrown in, just kind of random. But with Zax, it opens with the end of BVS, Superman dying. And it was like
Mhm.
Superman dying is what woke the mother boxes. It was the catalyst to the whole rest of the movie. So
Yeah.
it makes Man of Steel, and then because BVS picks up at the end of Man of Steel. Like
Mhm.
Batman is watching the end of Man of Steel happen. So like all three of the movies literally pretty much are back to back to back of themselves. So it would be good to see all of them, back to back to back. It would probably you probably get something really good out of it at that point.
Yeah.
And I liked the whole like the intro to it. I thought was really good with the mother box thing made sense. Steppenwolf was, like, actually like, he had character motivation, which
Sure.
was, like, you understood what he was doing, and the motivation wasn't, like, stupid, like, it all made sense, like,
He
once
wasn't just a henchman that had been sent to do his master's bidding or whatever. Something,
Yeah. Yeah, and then,
yeah.
like, he kept just in the Justice League version, you never really knew what the hell he was trying to do. Like, he kept
Yeah.
talking to the mother boxes like they were people. You
Mhm.
never knew why, just kinda were, and then, like, the worst part about, like, the theatrical cut is honestly just the way things are set up, like, there's, like, a painting behind the wall for Batman to just see how everything just answers all his questions, right, when he's, like, in the Aquaman scene, and then when he kills the parademon, it just blows up into 3 mother boxes on the wall, so it's like, none of this stuff would ever happen, like,
Yeah.
but in this one, like, the whole motivation behind the characters is, like, completely different.
Yeah.
The you kinda brought this up, on stream too, like, in the theatrical cut, like, the purpose of the movie is to resurrect Superman. Like, that's
Yes.
Batman's motivations, and,
Yeah.
and when you said that, I was like, "Yeah, and that doesn't even make any sense." Like, Batman has never seen like, why would Batman even think it was humanly possible for him to revive somebody from the freaking dead? Like,
Sure.
it alone doesn't make any sense. So, like, in this one, they just naturally stumble upon, "Oh, maybe we could use this mother box to actually resurrect Superman." Like, holy shit. Like, they just it's a
And there's
natural development.
a pseudo precedent for it because the mother box is the thing that saves Cyborg's life. It ties back into the mother box's ability to fix things. I think was it does it is it Aquaman that says like the mother box thinks in terms of ones and zeros. It's either on or it's off, and so it knows how to manipulate that energy and bring stuff back to life. So,
Yeah, they said
yeah,
something about, like, matter and, if, the dust, right? They said, like, the fire goes into smoke, but
sure.
then, like, the mother box can make the smoke back into a house.
The house,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
like,
it,
so
it
yeah.
knows. Yeah, it just it deals with the atoms and the energy and matter can't be created or destroyed. It can just be changed, and it knows how to change it. So, yeah, I mean, it works in in that pseudo comic book science way. It works, and it works well for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to log into my HBO Max account so I can get screen grabs of this stuff while I'm going on here, but it's not accepting my freaking password. I'm
Uh-oh.
trying to figure it out when I was when
You
I
just
had
had to sign up, right?
yeah, I had to go in and I had to, like, sign up because I was getting it through my cable provider, and, like, now I'm not getting it through my cable provider, and I just got it through, like, my Google account, but it's
Yeah.
not and I just opened the app, and I'm, like, already signed in, but I can't see what my freaking password was for it, so it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, so I thought everything about the movie was just better. Um, the each character gets a moment or at least an establishing shot. Like, obviously Batman, Superman carry over from BVS, and so you don't have to really introduce them. Um, Wonder Woman, you get some of her story. See, and the other part of this, there are going to be people that complain about the length of this movie because of when it's coming out, because it's coming out now. But people have to try and keep in mind. I know it's hard to do, and I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but this movie was supposed to come out in 2017, before the first Wonder Woman, before the first Aquaman. Those characters hadn't been established really when this movie was supposed to come out. So, when they have a whole scene with Aquaman going to Atlantis and talking to Volko and talking with Mera, those are all, they're establishing character. They're establishing motivations for these characters, and you get that for each of the characters. You get it for Cyborg, you get it for Flash, you get it for Aquaman. They don't skip those things, and to do these stories right, to really invest you in the characters and what's going on, you have to have that sort of thing. Otherwise, you get stupid exposition or voiceover work, and it doesn't work the same. It doesn't make a film feel real, for lack of a better way to put it, I guess.
and not to mention, the whole scene with, like, Wonder Woman and stuff was so much better in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, all the scenes, it's actually funnily enough that as I said in the beginning, the movies are essentially the same, and that's kinda like the funnest part of going back and watching this and seeing, like, all the scenes that were in this that actually were in, 'cause I think a lot of people were surprised because, like, I don't know why people out there thought that this was gonna be, like, an entirely different movie. Zach already said there was, like, 2 hours of footage that was never used, so, like, the other movie was, like, 2 hours long, so or an hour and a half long, whatever it was, it's like, it was, it was like an hour and a half of unused footage in the end or something, like, it was, whatever, but, the it's just it's funny to go back and look at the scenes that were different. There was one I was telling you, like, and it always bothered me in the freaking trailers for regular theatrical cut. There's a scene where I'll try to see if I can find it here just randomly in the video or in the movie, but there's a scene where when they go underneath Gotham Harbor, Batman just starts taking shots on his gauntlet. And they play
Yeah.
this in all the theatrical cut trailers and all this stuff where like a parademon shooting him with an energy gun and he just starts blocking bullets and stuff with his freaking gauntlet. And I'm just like, why? How is this even possible? It always
Mhm.
bothered me. And they never explain it or anything in the movies. And then finally, one of the very first things in the Snyder Cut is they explain that him and Alfred have been experimenting trying to develop an energy absorption device for his gauntlet to do explicitly that kind of thing. And it's like it was like a 10-second line that for
Yeah.
some reason was cut from the movie that explained like and I don't think anyone else at this bothered, but it annoyed the hell out of me because it just made
Mhm.
absolutely no sense. I'm like, why can Batman sit there and just take energy blast to his arm? It makes no sense. How was his arm
Yeah.
not blown off? Like, it always bothered me, and then literally, oh, it's because it was freaking explained. It was literally it
Yeah.
was a plot device in the thing, like, it was there. It's just so stuff like that just blew my mind. There were some other ones too that were like, yeah, damn, what was I
Well, while you're looking for that scene real quick, I will say I've also, I think, come to terms with the fact that Zack Snyder wants his heroes or his characters to be edgier than maybe I say edgier. He wants them to be, I'm gonna say, like, hardcore or whatever. They're a little just more than I want my character than the traditional way the superheroes are. And case in point is, the Wonder Woman scene. One of my small quibbles with this movie was the Wonder Woman scene. Um, at one point, Wonder Woman just kicks the ever living crap out of one of the human bad guys into a wall, and he hits the wall and his head explodes. Like, there's the giant blood splatter on the wall. She clearly kills him. Like, I understand Wonder Woman out of all the DC characters is a warrior, Amazon, and she was trained in war, and so she's not. If any of the DC superheroes are going to kill somebody in battle, it's going to be Wonder Woman. Um, but I also, she's also supposed to be here to promote peace, and so a Wonder Woman that just, knocks a guy into the wall, killing him instantly is just a little more like, I'm sure from Zach's point of view, it's like, oh man, that's awesome, Leo. She's so powerful and she just wrecks this guy. Um, for me, it plays as just a little more severe than I need Wonder Woman to be, but I've kind of come to terms with that. And so, maybe the reason this movie didn't hit me as much as BVS did with regards to that kind of stuff is because for most of it, they're going up against aliens, and aliens don't. There's not that sanctity of, oh, but poor parademons, they're
yeah,
they're being butchered. It's kind of like, yeah, parademons, of course, they're cannon fodder. They're almost mindless zombies, that are being killed. So it's not as, you know it's not as over the top for me as seeing, our heroes kill humans or whatever.
yeah,
um so, but that's one small, but again, even in this movie, everything else was so good. There were real emotional moments in it. There's an early scene with both Lois and Martha get scenes early on showing them dealing with the grief of losing Clark. And you got snippets of that in the Justice Cut, but those scenes are given room to breathe in this, and they really, you know, they was in the Justice League. I think Martha and Lois sit down and have a conversation at the Daily Planet about it. which is supposed to be them dealing. But here you get to see them actually in their own lives dealing with it. Plus, you also get kind of the shared scene, which we find out later on isn't really shared between the two. Um, but but anyway, those scenes are that emotional weight of losing him is felt more. And when you like, for somebody like me that was such a fan of Man of Steel and is so invested, even going all the way back to that movie, I wanted that. I wanted those characters to see how they were dealing with this and their reactions, not just a quick, oh, Martha stands at his grave and then gets in the truck and drives away because the house is foreclosed, which is about how long it took in the Justice League version.
Mhm.
In Snyder's cut, it's just a few more seconds, but it adds that weight to it that you just miss in the Justice League version.
Yeah. See, the blood splatter stuff, that never bothers me, like, honestly. Like, it's a fake movie. Like, I don't care if you add the blood, you don't add the blood, the same thing happens. The dude goes in the wall, and you never see him again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it never bothers me because it's like there's, like, always a difference between, like, because like, you would call, in BVS, you reference Ben's Batman as Murder Bat, like, Murder
Hmm.
Batman, but, like, he doesn't explicitly go out and, like, freaking put a gun to people's head and kill them. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they die in like, naturally. Like, yeah, the Batwing is going through and it's shooting cars and stuff, but it's like Christian Bale did the same thing. Like, he shot cars with the tumbler, he shot cars with the bat pod. Like, it's just like Michael Keaton did the same thing. Like, every movie does it, you know? So, like,
It's the
I
way.
never care.
Okay, we've had this conversation. I will grant that. Yeah, they did the, but it's the way it's presented. I mean, it's very clear because of Zach's need for everything to be bigger and more and
He's a
whatever.
visual
Like
storyteller.
when Batman shoots the car in a Zack Snyder movie, the car blows up. There is no question that the person is dead inside. At least the way it's done in the Nolan Batman is that he shoots it, the car maybe spins out and like goes off into a ditch or something. Like, okay, maybe the person lived. There's
Right.
no question the person dies in Snyder's verse. Like that's the it's a subtle difference. And I know it doesn't matter for a lot of people, but for me, I go back, we talked about, I think just even last week, I go back to the old Batman animated show where a guy gets thrown off a bridge and obviously in reality, the guy would die being thrown off of a giant bridge like that. But in the Batman animated series, they'd always have that quick scene where it cuts back to the water and you see the criminal bob up to the top and start treading water, gasping for air,
Yeah.
just to show you that he didn't die. It's that illusion of, I mean, these are movies. These aren't real life. This isn't
Yeah.
like, I mean, all this stuff is fake anyway. So why not just let that air of these are heroes who don't kill still exist, or at least create the possibility out there that they're not just, but in Snyder's verse, there is no question.
Well, to be
There's a
fair,
definitive answer.
in Snyder's verse, they never said that any of them don't kill. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're
It's not
exactly
like they're
right. I'm
portraying
not
their own character or anything. It's just not. It was never said that that's like, hey, they never said that we wouldn't kill. You know, like, it's
sure.
just what it is. Like,
Yeah.
but no, I get why. I totally see it from. I understand why people would not like it, and
Hmm.
I mean, I understand like people like me where I'm just like, I just don't even care. Like,
Yeah.
you want to do it as long as you're not betraying the character, like, oh, like, explicitly. Like, if Batman was all of a sudden the Punisher, I'd have a problem with that. If Wonder Woman was all of a sudden, like, I don't know, the Punisher, I guess, like, no, like, you don't want I don't want that. That's not what I'm here for. Um,
Hmm.
Before I forget, though, I loved this scene here with Mara when they actually show her, like, using her, like, magic, her water magic
So
stuff
good.
and sucking the
Yes.
blood out
She's
of
sucking the
that's
moisture out of his
so
body.
cool, dude. It was so cool. I was
Yeah.
like, because if you remember in Justice League, the scene is there, but he just, like, randomly grabs her and then throws her on the ground. Like, that whole
Mhm.
her fighting back and using the magic to pull the liquid out of him is just
Yeah.
completely thrown out. He just randomly throws her down and moves about his day. And in
Yeah.
this, it was like, "Oh, that's why he just threw her down because he was dying." Like,
Yeah.
so that was for
Because she was
one.
about to kick his butt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so it made more sense and it was super cool. Like, because it's just
Mhm.
like, well, hell yeah, she would do that. Like, so yeah. And
Yeah,
I know a
watching
lot of
her use her water manipulation powers was a real that was awesome to see.
mhm. It was super cool. And then like Volko was in it too, so that was cool. And
Mhm.
I mean
It
everyone the
sets up it
Cyborg.
sets up the Man movie so much better
Mhm.
than what happened in the Justice League version.
Yeah, and Cyborg had so much more to do. Like
Yeah.
and he like made sense. Like everything he did like and you find out too that he's not just like in Justice League, he's just kind of there for one. But he's kind of just like a sourpuss throughout the whole
Yeah.
movie. And like, but in
Yeah.
this one, you see like one, he was a really nice guy. Like he hacked into the school thing to fix the girls' grades or whatever. So it's like they go back and show that like he is just like a heart of gold as a person and he's like a genius and all that. And then he does the thing at the ATM with the mom, like after like post cyborg stuff happens, and it's like he's just
Yeah,
like
I'm sure that's something too that I haven't yeah, I've tried to I try anytime we do these shows, I try and stay away from reviews because I don't want my input to be colored by what I've read and stuff. So
mhm,
I have tried to stay away from stuff. And then after we do our reviews, then I go and start, kind of diving into other people's opinions. But I'm sure I can as I was watching that scene, I thought there are going to be people that think that this is pointless. Having this big long scene of Victor Stone, Cyborg, watching this woman and seeing what's happening to her, they're going to say it goes on too long, that they get it. Okay, we get it. This woman's in having a rough time. But it works so well. It really establishes it pulls on your heartstrings. It establishes, what this guy the empathy that this guy feels for other people, and he wants to just do the right thing by people. And that scene, it's a beautiful scene. I think it's a great scene. I think it's a travesty that it was ever cut in the first place. Because it does such a good job of establishing that character and who Victor Stone actually is.
yeah. And that's a funnily enough, I can see why. Like it does make more sense. Like I'm gonna give Ray Fisher some props here. I get why he was so vocal about the movies and the differences between them because it's like he was portrayed in a completely different way. Like I said, like literally in
Well,
Justice
in his
League, he's like barely even a character. Like
Yeah, he was barely a character, and then he was used for a couple chuckles, ha ha ha.
yeah,
Like, in this, I mean, to be honest, I was I was prepared for him to not be that great in the role because like you said, he just didn't have much of a performance in Justice League, and he was just kind of there. And I felt like maybe they cut his part down because he just wasn't, that good. I'd never seen Ray Fisher in anything else. I thought maybe this is a relatively new actor. Maybe they cut his scenes because they just
he was a
weren't that
Broadway
good. And
guy before. He was mainly on
was he?
Broadway. Yeah, he really hadn't had any
Yeah,
other work.
I thought maybe his scenes just weren't that good, and that's why they were taken out. But no, his scenes are excellent, and he's excellent in them. I mean, God, the guys, I've given praise to other actors that have to do this. I'm trying to think of what the most recent one was, but I mean, he's an actor. He's trying to portray a character, and he's doing it with, you know, three-fourths of his face. I mean, a quarter of his face is covered up. He
Sure.
has no body. He's all he's got is like three-quarters of his face through most of the movie, and he still pulls off a pretty spectacular performance it's moving and heartfelt.
Yeah, I mean, and I love too the joke they had when they were digging up Superman was like because Flash is like, so Wonder Woman, like you think she's into younger guys, and he's like, she's 5,000 years old.
Years
Everyone's
old.
a younger guy. I was like, that
Yeah.
was really good. That's the thing too
Yeah.
about this one, like the Justice League humor was just like overtly thrown at you, and it was like
Forced.
yeah, it was forced. Half of the jokes didn't land. Some were fine, like whatever. Because like I don't want this also to seem like it's like we're shitting on Justice League by any means. It's just this version of the movie was far and away a superior version of Justice League. I mean, there's
Mhm.
at least in my opinion, there's no question about it. And kind of like you, like I didn't think Justice League was a complete dumpster fire, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't it was the bottom of the list of if you asked me what my favorite DC movies were, Justice League was at the bottom, like,
Yeah.
hands down. Batman and Robin was above the mother like, it was better, like, I would rather watch Batman and Robin, like, I get more enjoyable laughs out of it than the other one, and, yeah, I don't even remember what my point was, but, oh, yeah, the jokes, like, they were good, like, they were just there was humor throughout, like, when they're fighting Superman, and at the end of it, um when Flash runs into Aquaman and the scene's over, Superman flies away with Lois, like, Arthur's laying down there, then Flash is laying down, and he's just like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's like, "I'm so sorry." Like, it was funny, dude. Like, that was actually, like, a
Yeah.
good thing. It was funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, the
Yeah, it
humor
was
actually
I
worked.
y you know, there was an infamous quote that came out about Justice League when everything was going down, when he was leaving the thing, and everybody was trying to figure out why in the what is going wrong with the DCEU, because Zack's leaving Justice League, Joss is being brought in, and then, the Justice League comes out, and there was an infamous quote where somebody said that Zack Snyder's rough cut of Justice League was virtually unwatchable.
Yeah.
There was nothing about this movie that was virtually unwatchable. Like, I'm sorry, like, I understand if you don't like a 4-hour movie. I understand if you aren't a big fan of Zack's style or whatever, but
Well, and again, it was,
that
like,
doesn't
the
make the movie
same movie.
unwatchable.
Yeah, how was it on it was would that's what doesn't make sense. That's what I was, like, getting at with, like, the begin like, all the drama that happened with, like, Zach leaving. Because I think I even said on the stream, like, I think I will definitively say that, like, Zach left because of the tragedy with his daughter. Like, if Warner Brothers may not have been happy with him, like, whatever, like, who the hell knows? We'll never know the full story, but, like, he obviously did not continue making the movie because his daughter had just passed away tragically. Like, like, that's why he wasn't doing the movie anymore, like,
Yeah.
period, end of story. But, yeah, this whole it's unwatchable, all this it's like, okay, if they thought it was unwatchable, why did they bring Joss in to just cut 2 hours of the same movie and make it worse? Because that's all
Yeah.
he did. He didn't change the movie and make it, like, any different. It's literally the same movie, just worse and shorter. It makes no
Well,
sense.
and there are scenes where, there's a world where there's an alternate, one of our parallel worlds where Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon both make Justice League movies, but they're their own movies, and they both play completely differently, but they give fans exact different fans stuff that they wanted. Like, there's stuff about the Justice League movie that I really like and enjoy. You get a Superman in that movie that's um that has a couple pretty heroic scenes that you don't get in for example, I love the scene when Superman first shows up back from the dead in Justice League, um, and Steppenwolf is about to take Cyborg out, I think, or something, and Superman shows up from behind him and says something like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of truth, and I'm also," or like, I love the truth, or I like the truth, and I'm also a big fan of justice." I thought that was a cool line. That's a very Superman line. It was delivered excellently by Henry Cavill, and he shows up and he's in the bright red and blue suit, the traditional primary color Christopher Reeve esque type suit. And I thought that was such a great line and a great introduction of Superman being back. Um,
I liked
and
his
so I
line
really,
better in this one, personally. I liked it better when he comes in and Steppenwolf just hits him with the axe and he's just, "I'm
it
not
just stops
impressed.
and
I'm not
yeah, and
impressed." And then
sure,
and then
but that's
he
what I'm
used
saying.
his frost breath too for the first time, which
Sure,
is also another thing that was super cool.
and that's what I'm saying though. Like, both of those versions coexist, and you get a brighter whatever world. You get the Joss Whedon Marvel esque Jeff Johns version of the DC characters that is brighter and maybe more in line with the traditional. But then you also have Snyder's Elseworlds version that works just as well, and is just as engaging and epic. I mean, this story was epic. I mean, that's I
Mhm.
keep coming back to that word to describe this film. It felt worthy of a Justice League movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like, for one, Before like, I have this scene pulled up too. The Flash was, like, flushed out so much more, and you
Yep.
can see after why watching this movie that there were talks about, like, Flash and Cyborg having, like, a buddy cop movie. Like, when you watch
Mhm.
this version, you can see why that idea would have been tossed around a little bit, but, like,
Mhm.
at the end, like, for one, when Flash does this scene, like, this scene when they try to revive Superman is so much more epic in this version of the movie, and, but you actually see for the first time that, like, Flash is, like, manipulating time. Like, when the thing is
Mhm.
falling down, the picture starts falling up, like, and then, like, he hit the thing, and then it happened, like, is like so that was cool, but then we fast forward to the end of the movie, no pun intended. The end of Justice League, the Flash is literally used to do these, like, obvious pickup scenes where they save the people in the family, the one family that lives in this freaking nuclear environment or whatever the hell, and that's all the Flash is used for, and in
Yeah.
this, he literally saves the damn world, like, he's the
Yeah.
guy, like, the
Mhm.
Justice League lost, like, the unity happened, Superman got obliterated, everything was done, but the Flash undid it, like, he went
Yeah.
back and he saved everybody, like, a little bit better of an ending of a movie, like, 'cause then when you actually look at how the other movie ended, the parademon smelled fear on Steppenwolf, and, like, that was it.
They attack him and
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, why would you change the ending? This ending
Yeah.
was so much better. Like, it just in every way, it was so much better, and then, like you said too, like, Wonder Woman went for the head at the end with
Yeah.
Steppenwolf, so, like,
Yeah.
there we go, and then conversely, when during at the beginning of the movie, Ares did not go for the head and hit him on the
Yep.
shoulder, it could have been
Yep.
over then. But yeah, like, I don't know, the ending was just way better, all the characters were fleshed out better, everything made sense. It was a
Mhm.
fun watch, like, I
Yeah.
don't know, like, I'm just still, like, baffled as to, like, what the problem was with Warner Brothers in this situation, like, I just don't get it. Like, I know they wouldn't wanna
Well,
release a 4-hour movie, but, like
and going back to that going back to what you were saying about that, like, this movie is so weird, and because it's clearly 2 different movies cobbled together, like, why didn't why didn't Warner Brothers just go to Joss Whedon and say, "Hey, look, this didn't work. All right, just film your own movie." I mean, there's talk that like 75% of this movie of the Justice League version was Joss Whedon's footage and Joss Whedon shot stuff. And if that's the case, just give him the money to do the other 25% and do his own movie that isn't beholden to what Zach had done and shelve this version. Like, what they ended up doing was such a disservice to, I think, both people because,
oh, it was, yeah.
Joss, his personal issues aside, um, did 2 really great Marvel movies with Marvel. I mean, Avengers and Age of Ultron are great movies. He's done some great TV shows over the years. He may be an asshole according to, virtually everybody that's worked with him before. So, I'm not sure he's a good guy. I'll just come around and say, I mean, based on what we know, he's not a good guy. But he has made some really
Yeah,
entertaining
still an
stuff.
excellent
So
filmmaker, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
you can't
yeah.
deny that.
So if you separate the art from the persons, he makes good movies. And so, like, why they didn't just hire him and say, "Here, do your own thing," is baffling at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like I said, like, they spent, like, $100,000,000 or something, like, I think they spent more for him to come in and do the Justice League than they did to have Zack finish Justice League.
Yeah.
It's like, in what world does that make any sense? Like, again, I know they couldn't have done the 4-hour release, I know they wouldn't have gone for it. Endgame was, like, 3 hours and 2 minutes long. I feel like
But
Zack, if like,
but here's what
gun
you
to
do.
his head, coulda made this 3 hours long, and it woulda worked.
You go to Zach and you say, "Fine, well, we're gonna make it a 2 hour. We're gonna make it 2 2-hour movies," and you release them 6 months apart. Like,
The
you there,
problem
you
with
double
that,
your
though, is
profits.
if you 2 hours into this movie, you would leave, like, you would leave wanting. Not enough stuff happens in 2 hours, at least in my
But
opinion.
it's broken up into chapters, so there are
Yeah,
natural stopping points, and,
it
2
depends
hours
on the
maybe
weight. Depends
maybe
on the
you do
weight.
2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm trying to think of what exact I mean, you've got it up there. Can you jump to the 2-hour mark and see
Yeah, like,
what
this is
the what the
halfway.
actual scene was?
So, past halfway is when the
So, maybe you
you'd
do
have
the
to
end
go
of
all the way to the harbor scene. You
yeah,
so
maybe you
you
go through the end of the harbor scene and then cut it off, and then and pick it up, for the last part for the resurrection of Superman in the final battle. I don't know. Um,
It's just I know what you're saying, and I'm sure if they had that in mind going into it, it maybe could have been done, but I think we're at the Superman is getting revived at what
mhm.
is this timestamp? The freaking thing's in the way. It's 2 hours and 38 minutes in, so that's
Yeah,
over
so
half the movie.
sure, if you do a 2 hour and 15 minute and you get just through the underwater, the what is it called? The Gotham Harbor scene. If you just
Yeah.
get through that scene and cut the first film there and then pick up the second film
I
going
just
into
don't
the
think it would have
resurrection,
been
I don't
good
know.
at that point, though. Like, if I watched the whole movie I'm just looking like, if I paid money to go
But
watch
what if
this
but what
part
if
1 and it just ends right there, I felt like nothing would have fucking happened.
what if there's I mean, but what if they write an additional scene to go at the end of it that teases what's coming up? Or what if they structure the first half and that, like, that you don't know who Steppenwolf is and where he's coming from, and this somehow leads them to the answer of who Steppenwolf is, and how to what if it ends with them realizing that Steppenwolf is here because Superman's dead and that they have to bring him back. Like, I feel like there's a way to structure this movie
Yeah,
and
it
keep it
could.
virtually the same, but end it on more of like a cliffhanger note that rolls nicely into a second half of the movie. But anyway, and that's all like me personally, and that's all just done just to get around the fact that they don't want to release a 4-hour movie. To me, make it 4 hours. I'll go for 4 hours and I'll sit through an intermission. Now, I know a lot of people say they won't, but I don't want
Yeah,
to
I'd be
hear
fine
any
with
of
it.
those people ever tell me about how they binge watch something again, because you know what? If you're going to sit down and binge watch something, then you can sit there and watch a 4-hour movie.
Well,
I
the d
mean, I'm
I told
sorry.
you this too, though, the difference is you're binging 7 hours of Netflix on your couch, it's a little bit different. Like, I'm down to go watch a 4-hour Justice League movie, but my mom would not be down to watch a 4-hour Justice League movie. They're like, people who don't
Even with an
care that
intermission,
much no,
like
because they don't
like
care about the content enough. They wanna go and have a quick fun movie, you know what I mean? We're there
but
because we love the stuff.
why do they care about Netflix's new show that isn't, anything
They
they know
don't,
anything
they can
about
just
either?
have it on in the background, and they're just at home, they're not paying
You
attention, you know what
think
I
they're
mean?
binging it while doing other stuff?
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's the thing,
Okay.
like, when you go to the movie, it's like an event, you have to you're dedicating your entire attention to, like, the big screen in front of you for 4 hours, you know? That's a big ask for people who, like, because you gotta think, Endgame didn't make over $2 billion because of people like us. They made it because your mom and your grandma and all these other people went. And you know what I mean? And
Sure.
like 3 hours was a big ask for them, like,
But
because they
people
don't
did
care
it.
about the movie. Oh yeah, they did it. It was like, what? If they could have got it to 3 hours, I know Zach could have made this 3 hours. I could go in and make this movie 3 hours and that would still be the same movie.
Yeah.
People would have went and watched it and would have been fine. But, like, for whatever reason, WB was just like, "It has to be 2 hours." Like,
Yeah.
ugh. Like, it's like, it did not have to be you see what you got when you made it 2 hours. I mean, it was
Yeah.
Justice League was not a good movie. Like, it wasn't a dumpster fire, but especially when you see what it could have been, definitely wasn't a good movie.
Yes.
But in the end, I liked it. I'm mostly bummed out though that like we're not gonna get the setup stuff. Like the stuff that was set up. I want more Nightmare. Oh, the other thing too, before I forget, is the Martian Manhunter stuff. And I said this on stream, whereas like I like that he was involved in here, and I think Zach's initial plan would have been to have Martian Manhunter come in the next movie and the next movie is obviously kind of questionable right now. They don't know if there's going to be another one. There's more than likely not going to be another one. So I feel like the Martian Manhunter stuff was just thrown in so he could have it in here because he kind of already did that very thing with Jared Leto's Joker, like that whole nightmare sequence at the end. He said that, like, he just thought it was kinda, like, criminal that, like, Ben's Batman was never shared the screen with Jared's Joker, like, they had all these movies came out, and they were never even on the screen together, so he wanted to give that to everybody, he wanted to do that, like, so that's why that's there, and I feel like Martian Manhunter was the exact same way, he always wanted to bring him in, but he had no time, so he wasn't able to do it. He would've done the second one because Martian Manhunter in this movie, at the very end, he shows up to Bruce's house and it's just like, "You know what? I think I'll help you guys fight next time." Like, it's like, "Dude, where the hell were you?" Like, we
Yeah.
coulda used some help back here. We literally all died, like, in the like, we literally died, like,
Not
if
for the Flash, all of existence, all the
yeah.
world would be gone.
Yeah, but so cool, you'll be here next time, man. And then because the other thing that kind of makes it like, it's like, why didn't you help Clark in Man of Steel, dude? You just letting the Kryptonians come and just like you're just cool with it. Like it's just
Um,
weird. Like I'm cool with it. The Man of Steel part, that's just like a side note. But this stuff is, and again, it's an asterisk because I know Zach would have probably just held off with him until the next movie. But either way, it's just kind of a stupid thing. Like, what were you doing, Martian Manhunter? He's gonna watch all this happen for no reason. Kind of dumb.
I mean, like you said, it's a double-edged sword for me because I'm so grateful and happy that I have this movie and that I can go back and watch this movie. And I've got this epic Justice League story that I can go back and watch. And but there's the flip side of that you know I'll just say we're not going to get the follow-up movies that hopefully we would get or that at one point were being planned. Um, so that's uh,
Never say
it is,
never.
but yeah, I know. I mean, I went so far as to like go ahead and throw the hashtag out there with my quick first initial impressions review. I threw up the restore the Snyderverse hashtag on my Twitter when I saw this, just because I'm on board now. Like I'll lend my support, whatever the whoever the group or whoever the people were that got this done. Like let me know what you need from me, and I'll be happy to join your cause for getting these other ones made.
Yeah, I really want. I like again. If I could have a made, I would have a made in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. At least if we get nothing out of it, we get this out of it. We get Nightmare Batman and Black Suit Superman hot toy.
Yep.
We get that. So I'm happy enough just because now I already got my pre-order in. I'm happy enough just that we got that. It at least gave Hot Toys the reason to re-release the Nightmare Batman figure.
Yep.
God damn it, that's enough for me, man.
It's a black suit Superman that looks amazing.
Yeah,
Like that.
that's
We
it's a
talked
win.
about how it doesn't have a lot of purpose in the movie, but it looks very cool.
Yeah, that was one thing too. I guess before we move on, I'm really happy the black suit was there because I'm a sucker for black suit Superman.
Mhm.
Obviously, just like Zach is, because he didn't write in a narrative purpose for there to actually be a black suit. He just shows up in it, which I feel like is kind of a misnomer. Like, should have had it like, and I even told you on stream, like it would have been as simple as that's the only suit he had. Like the other one was destroyed by Doomsday, but in the movie he's walking through the ship and a blue suit comes out of the ship at him, and it's like you
Sure.
could have just made it be the only one, and that would have been fine. But you could have also said this one will help you regenerate, like
You could have
whatever.
also had one of the Kryptonian robots just throw one line of dialogue. He could be on the ship when he's walking through looking at the costumes, and they could be a simple line of dialogue for them saying from one of them saying something like, you know, Master Kal-El, your body is still recuperating.
Yeah,
This is especially restorative regeneration suit that Kryptonians design that you'll need to wear for the time being or something. It could have been obviously a much better writer than I
Yeah, yeah,
could
but
come up
no,
with a
exactly.
phrase
That's
that.
exactly.
But yeah,
100%. Like, but in the end, it doesn't matter because I
sure.
think the only thing that I do kind of agree with some people in the shirt ripping scene probably would have been better for it to be the back to the blue and red,
Cool.
but
Yeah.
in the end, that also doesn't really matter. Like,
I also because I kind of hinted at it earlier and we haven't gotten around to it. I want to make sure I get this out there is I really enjoyed when he comes back and when he first puts on the black suit and he goes to fly for the first time after coming back to life. They have that
the first flight
back
scene.
and forth. Yeah, they have that back and forth between Jor-El and
Mhm.
Jonathan, where Jor-El's basically giving they will follow you into the sun or into the light, or I forget what the actual word by word thing. But Jonathan Kent actually says, you know, it's your time, son. Show them who you are. Show them, who you can be. And it kind of brings that whole story, that whole uncertainty that began in Man of Steel with Jonathan Kent trying to do everything he can to keep his son safe. And by doing that, putting this idea in his head that maybe you shouldn't be the hero that everybody knows Superman eventually is because of the fear of a father that something bad will happen to his boy if people find out what he can do or who he actually is. And um and and, and so it's a perfectly natural, it works excellently in Man of Steel for why he is that way and what's going on, but then to bring it full circle in this movie and have Jonathan kind of tell Clark, it resolves that issue. It pushes Superman. It gives Superman that character growth from being a kid that was raised to kind of hide who he is and wasn't really sure. That uncertainty in him has been removed, and now he's fully free to be the Superman that we all know and has been a symbol of hope and for 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 comic readers and comic fans for the past 80 plus years. So
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I liked the whole even the physicality part of just the imagery of recreating the Man of Steel first flight scene was cool
Yes.
too. Like, I liked that.
Yep.
Like, yeah, the that was still even in there, you coulda had freaking Jor-El mention the black suit at that point. Like, he's
Sure.
literally right there, just just bring it up. But I did
Yeah.
like that connection there, that connective tissue, bringing that full circle, kinda resolving that conversation because I really liked that conversation from Man of Steel, where he's like, "Maybe you
Hmm.
should let him die." I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you don't know. Like, 'cause it's like it's
That,
deep, as it brings a lot more levity to everything.
that I think that struck a lot of people wrong in Man of Steel, and I'll admit I love Man of Steel, um, but that line always bothered me, and I think it's because Jonathan Kent, Superman is the moral guidepost for. I mean, for me, it's Superman's the moral guidepost for my life. Like, if I'm in a situation, what would Superman do? He always tells the truth. He always finds a way to do the right thing. Like, there's right and wrong, and Superman knows what's right and wrong, and you should, that's what you should strive for. But and he got that strong moral center, that strong moral compass from his mom and dad, and so having Jonathan Kent be less than steadfast in those beliefs and those morals is kind of jarring in that movie, and I had an issue with it the first time I saw it. I was like, oh boy, I don't know, and over time I came to understand and appreciate what they were doing with that scene. And I hate, it's cliche to say, but becoming a dad myself in the intervening years has even given me a additional perspective on it of, yeah, as much as there's things that you want your kid to be able to do, there's also there's also that fear. There's also the concern that is your kid going to be safe? Is your kid going to be okay? Well, you know, this desire to keep your kid free of the negative things that are out there in the world. And so it works even more, you know, for me now. And then but to see them bring it full circle is just beautiful, and it worked
Mhm.
so well.
Yeah. That's like 'cause, like, dude, he had some good lines in that because I liked that line from Man of Steel, but then he also had the line where he says, like, like, "You are my son," when he's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, like,
God,
that was
yeah,
great, and then when he dies at the end and, like, Clark's gonna run out and save it, and he's just like, you know what I mean? Because he
yeah,
doesn't want he's, like, protecting his son even then.
yeah,
He knows he's gonna die,
yep,
but he's protecting his son. So, like,
yep,
Kevin Costner was great in that movie, dude. That
yeah.
that was that's such a good movie. I
So
love that
damn
movie.
good.
So good. Oh, man. But that's it. You got anything else? I think we covered most of everything. I can't remember. We need to move on to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I'm good to move on. I mean, I could talk about Justice League. I had a buddy ask me about it. I said, you know, I might just need to do like a 4 hour commentary track for it myself to really get all of my thoughts and
Yeah,
opinions out. But I
I'm
mean,
sure we
we've hit
missed
the
stuff.
highlights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm definitely I can almost guarantee I've missed something, but it's
yeah,
hard to it's 4 hours of content, so it's kinda
yeah,
hard to remember it all too.
sure.
But yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I'm mostly bummed that we're not gonna get the follow-ups at this point. Like, that's honestly the most because it was like that was a double-edged sword going into it, is like, we knew there was gonna be set up for more, and we probably weren't gonna get it. And we're
Mhm.
kind of in that situation now to where, well, damn, that turned out probably better than a lot of people thought it was going to be. I mean, it's already, as far as Zack Snyder's DC movies go, it's his highest critical rated one. Like, it
Yeah.
has a better critic rating than Man of Steel and a better critic rating than BVS. So, like,
I know I think it was only like 10 to 12,000 user reviews, but it was 98% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes for the fan, for the just the general audience score. I mean,
mhm,
that's insane.
yeah, like, so it seems like most people are liking it. So, which
Mm,
again, it just brings back to like, what the hell was Warner Brothers thinking? I I just don't. I like again. I get the 4 hour thing, but
yeah.
that 2 hour version of it wasn't any better. So in the end, I'm glad we got to see it though. Even if we don't get anything out of it, again, we got Nightmare Batman and Superman, Black Suit Superman coming out of it. So you can look forward to that. Get your pre-orders in now because I'll tell you what, Nightmare Batman by himself, I just saw a posting for him on eBay for $1,200. So you can get this sucker with a Superman to boot for
For
500
less
from
than half,
yeah,
yeah.
so might want to jump on that while you can. So,
You
but
got a little bit of a wait though if you do. It's
yeah,
possibly it's over a year away before they
yeah.
anticipate shipping these, so,
Yeah, it's like July to September 2022, but
yeah.
they're gonna cut off the pre-orders and you're gonna be waitlisted here in a couple months. It's gonna happen. Cause I
Yeah,
like I told you, I think they're gonna get flooded with so many of these orders that they're gonna kill it. Like, I don't think they're gonna
yeah.
leave it up for too long. That's just my guess though. I don't know though. We'll just have to wait and see. But guys, the question is, what did you think about the Snyder Cut? Were you just as pleased with it as we were? Did you think it was better? Or do you like me and you're just like, well, what the hell were you doing, Warner Brothers? Because the 2 hour version of it was the same movie. What did you spend all this money on to have Joss Whedon come in and just make a worse 2 hour version of the same movie? Like I will never understand how and why that happened. Like, why did they not just bring someone in to edit what Zach did down to 2 hours or edit it down to 3 hours? Like, there was a compromise in there. Like, all the stuff that Joss added, absolutely, completely not needed for the movie. Like, the movie was still the same, had the same, except, and the ending was worse. I don't understand that. Why would you change this ending? It was so much better. Oh my god. In the end, let us know what you thought about Zack Snyder's Justice League down in the comment section below.